I went to St. Hedwig's in Los Alamitos. Just so you know, this is what their altar looks like. It's very modern. The church, the lighting on the top reminds me of when we were over at the Grand and we went into that one room, the Italian room.
Yeah.
Everything is open beam. That left me really cold. But on my walk up to the church, not knowing which side of this place door was at, two gentlemen were talking. One put his hand out to me, grabbed mine, and shook it, nodded his head at me, kept right on talking, but at least he acknowledged me as I was walking in. I was kind of very surprised with that. They have only 2 priests at this church, and one of them is Filipino, and Dr. Palm is his name, Father Palm. He said the Mass. It was kind of hard to understand at times because of the language discrepancies. But he did grab us all in because he followed the gospel that was there that day. He talked about the modern, applying it to modern day, which is just as the same as the priests who do here. He walked side to side. He acknowledged everybody as he went around. So it wasn't like he was stuck at the pulpit and talking from a piece of paper. He was talking from rote or from memorization. The music was amazing. I'm sorry. They have a full choir, which is about the whole extent of this whole congregation. Wow. In a choir loft with an organ and an organist and a choir director, something that is what I had when I was in the Catholic Church, when I was going to St. Elizabeth's in the Valley. They have a lady who stands at the altar and helps lead the congregation in responses and lets them know what repeats again what the hymn will be. No one ever walked in with any of the daily breads. They were all in the pews. They all had pews, and they all had kneelers in the pews, which was another surprise to me. The seating is in a semicircle, so they have, like we used to sometimes do it at the Grand. We make the chairs go out in circles so everybody had a vantage point. They had that type of thing. I would say there must have been 300 people there for a 10 o'clock Mass.
How many?
300 people there for a 10 o'clock Mass. It was pretty full. That is also the Mass where the children come up, grades kindergarten through 6th grade. They come up into the center aisle and they're let off to go to CCD. And then they're brought back just after the offertory. Before the communion, those who were catechumens, is that the right word? They were taken away, those who were studying for sacraments. The adults were taken off for their classes. Everything was very quiet, and Father Palm, blessed everybody as they went. It was a very overall warm experience as far as that goes. I felt friendly when they greeted everybody around me. They all turned around and smiled and shook hands, and it's like you were part of the crowd whether you weren't. And I sat in the very back, so it was like I wasn't trying to be noticed. I was trying to observe from the back. I knew one person who goes to Mass there because I see her on Bible study every Monday night, and she was quite surprised to see me there because she knows I do go to the American Catholic Church. But she says she's very, very friendly and pleased, happy to see me, and so it was like no questions as to did you receive communion or anything like that. Yes, I did receive communion. I felt warm enough there, accepted enough there to go to communion. And the Eucharist is very important to me. When my mother was denied it, I just feel that I'm not going to deny myself that, and that's part of my life.
Okay.
But I had a very good experience.
We do have time for 1 or 2 more.
Woody and I did something different. We didn't go to church.
Okay.
We wanted the experience of feeling what we felt 19 years ago when we didn't go to church. And it was an experience because we try to come every Sunday because this is our home. It was strange to wake up, say my prayers, and then do my wash, clean my house, like God didn't exist. Like it was just another day, like it had been for 19 years when I couldn't go to communion. I'd go to church I'd bring my kids to church, but I couldn't go to communion. So it was like not going to church. And I wanted that feeling again. And I got it. I got it last Sunday. So Woody's homesick, but I'm here. So you'll see me.
I thought maybe he's tired from all the honeydews you gave him.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I went back to St. Barnabas, my ex-home parish. To me, nothing changed. I still didn't feel included. I felt like I was an outsider. Since all the time I went there, and I was sentenced to 8 years of Catholic school there. And I still felt like I was an outsider, that I was born on the wrong side of Orange. They didn't have an entrance ceremony of any sort. It was just like old times. Father comes out from the sacristy.
Really?
That's the whole total of the entrances. He comes out from the sacristy and then he goes back into the sacristy. The homily was okay. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the worst. It followed the gospel, and that's about all I can say. I did notice that people were watching me. Nobody would come up and shake my hand, which to me was usual for St. Barnabas from when I was going there. You know, nobody noticed you, but they were watching me, like as if I was going to jump up and, I was wondering if they're going to take, and they had a stake out in the yard there. They had a little bit of kindling around. I was going to be tied to and barbecued, but I went to the donut and coffee thing afterwards. That's across the street in the old convent. They don't use the parish hall anymore for that. And that was, going in the convent, I think that was like the third time I'd been in the convent, and the whole time I'd been going to St. Barnabas. But I didn't feel like I was part of the group. I didn't feel like I was part of the parish. I was an outsider. Even I felt the same like when I was going to school there. I was the outsider. They did have a nice little band. The only difference being is they had a violin added to the instruments. That was nice. Inside the church, they've got better speakers now. They have speakers lined up along the sides so that people in the back can hear better. They also have a barrier up in the choir loft so kids can't fall forward off the last step, the last part, which I guess is a problem because they also have a big sign downstairs saying no kids in the choir loft. But still, it was, nobody came up to me, nobody said hello, nobody shook my hand, nobody questioned me. I did go to communion. Communion is a little bit different because there was probably 300 or 400 people there. They divided the church up into quarters, and they had the priest handed out communion in the middle like normal, and then outside at the ends of the pews, people had chalices for the sacred blood. And they did, and then the same thing about halfway back in the middle, handed out communion. On the outside, they handed out the sacred blood. But I didn't feel, part of it. Thank you.
All right. Well, we got our second music. Deborah is going to get her 2 cents in.
I went to St. Bridget's, and that's in L.A., and we went to the gospel service.
And they clap at the right time.
Both sides. And it was interesting. We were greeted, but it's a mixture of black and Hispanics, and in the black tradition in church, people always come and greet you if they've never seen you before. So they started greeting us as soon as we stepped into the church. And it was very fascinating, interesting. Nice. Their entry song, they had young like teenagers, and they were on bongos and drums, and they drummed them in, and it was very impressive. And the priest, he was okay. I thought he talked too long.
Like ours. guy in the
Rick.
corner.
And so the service was, I think it's part of the music, lasted longer. Their choir was nice, although I thought with my untrained ears, a little flat sometimes. But they didn't need the church to sing. So there were no missals or the music or anything to follow them with. But it was nice. The music was nice. They had the drums and the bongos and the bass guitar and stuff. So the music was nice. But I'm still back here.
All right, I think we're to draw this to a conclusion, but not forever. We're really not here to put down everybody else and to think that we're perfect. Obviously, we're not. But what you've chosen to share, I think, dovetails into what we consider the reason for our being, and we've come up with several of these different mission statements. One of the most recent was, the mission of Good Shepherd American Catholic Church is to sustain a parish community where all, even those who have felt excluded, can fully belong and actively participate in word and sacrament. Here they can receive comfort and challenge from the gospel, grow in Christ's wisdom and grace, and respond to his call to shepherd others. The question then, after these experiences, all of which are not going to be negative, Father Mike had a very positive experience in Santa Monica. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of whether we see our mission as creating a home or creating, let's say, a rehab church where we can actually heal and then feel comfortable going out to other churches. And that has happened. The bottom line is we need to focus on what we're here for. And then it is my hope that we will become more committed to making sure that we're going to be here for those people who we didn't even maybe see on that Sunday. Maybe some of them were sitting out communion. I don't know if you noticed that. But even those people who, like Carol, were staying at home when they used to be fully participating. So, over the week, I'd like you to do two things. To reflect on what life will be when we close our doors, because that's the path down which we're headed. Or to reflect on what life would be like if we were to close our doors. And I'm hoping that we're all going to be on the would if category. And in that case, looking at what our net purpose is, what we can do to bring more people into what we have experienced here. All of those positive things that you have attested to while you were here. Then, next week, bring back some of your growth ideas. I believe that if you turn in all the papers that you filled up, I'm sure we will be able to put that into kind of an article and maybe put it in a hard copy and send it out over our email blast. And then also maybe suggestions about what we can do to find need to have more masses put on because we're growing. One of the ways we're growing, you see Father Rodrigo here?
Yes.
I want him to... I think he understands a lot of English. So if he ever feels like a little a cappella, you should hear this man sing. I don't know if anybody was able to go, but his church, his mass is very nice if you can find it. It keeps changing, but we're going to put an end to that too. Okay? I thank you all for finally doing what we've talked about for so long. Okay? So, if you believe all this stuff, let's rise and profess our faith. We believe in one God, Father Almighty,